Hello and welcome back. This is Dave again, and we're going to go through two-umpire mechanics on the 90-foot diamond in this presentation. A lot of the things that we're going to go through in this presentation are applicable to both the 90 and the 60-foot field. We're not just going to go over where each umpire should be positioned. In all honesty, the same situations that occur on the 60-foot diamond, where the runners are, will dictate on the 90-foot diamond the exact same things. If you're in A on a 60-foot, you'll be in A on a 90-foot, and so forth and so on. But what differs tremendously on the 90-foot diamond is fly ball coverage. So we'll see some of that. I'm not going to go through, there's a runner on first, this is where you are. There's a runner on first and second, this is where you are. There's a runner on first, second, and third, this is where you are. We're not really going to cover that in this particular thing. But what we are going to see is where the starting positions for each umpire are when it comes down to runners, when it comes down to fly ball and fair foul coverage. Okay? But first off, some basic principles that, again, are applicable to both sides fields. There's only two of us out there. Your team. Home team, away team, umpire team. They've got a whole bunch of people. We've only got two of us. So how do we get through this? We communicate. We have a pregame. We have signals on the field. We understand what's going on, and if we don't, we pause the game because we're the umpires, and we have that capability and that authority. And then we make sure that we're on the same page, because if we aren't, we're going to mess something up. We understand who's responsible for each runner, who's got the ball in what plays and what scenarios. If the base umpire goes out, what happens then? How to stay ahead of the lead runner. Don't ever abandon a trailing runner. Very basic principles when it comes to these types of things. Okay? Now, this is a little bit different on the 90-foot field. The base umpire, since they're positioned initially on the inside of the diamond, don't ever go out on a fly ball when you're in B or C and you're the base umpire. Pretend that clay is the steaming pile of lava that you all pretended you were when pretended you had when you were children. Don't cross over that line. So let's look at the starting positions, okay? A, B, C. Now note the dotted lines between the plate for the C and B positions. The good frame of reference to maintain is you want to be in a place that is halfway between second base and the pitcher's plate. So about midway between the two. You want to line yourself up, chest facing forward, square to the plate, so that your eyes travel directly over the cutout of that grass circle where the pitcher's mound happens to be. So stand there, get a sight line from the cutout straight down to the batter. And that's in both positions C and B. The working area, which we're really not going to get into in this presentation, we'll work on this when we get out on a field someplace. But the working area is where you're going to, strangely enough, work when you're in the B or the C position. When you're in the A position, there's a phrase called stepping into the pitch. Basically what this means is you take one little step and you get set. You can only do this in the A position, and you should do this as the pitcher starts his motion. You get a little bit of relaxation for a second, and you get to come set and observe what happens at the plate. So square to the plate, take one step into the pitch, and set as that pitcher starts his motion. The reason we only do this in the A position is because when you're in B or C, your primary responsibility is going to be box. So when you're in B or C, you don't want to step. You just want to stand there. As soon as that pitcher takes his position on the plate, before he starts his motion, you come set. You come set so that your eyes are not moving when that pitcher starts his windup, so that you can detect a balk without bouncing your head up and down. When it comes to tag-ups and touches, the plate umpire generally or primarily has all tags and touches at third base. The base umpire is going to have all tags and touches at first and second base. There's only one exception to this rule, and that's on a home run. If there's a fly ball in fair territory that leaves the field over the fence, that plate umpire only has home base or home plate responsibility. The base umpire is watching the tag and touch at all of the bases. But that's about the only situation. In all other instances, the base umpire is going to get first and second, and the plate umpire has third as well as home. When there's nobody on, fly ball coverage varies tremendously from the 60-foot diamond. On the 60-foot diamond, the plate umpire is responsible for all catches, period, end of story. All caught balls, line drives, flies, whatever it happens to be, the plate umpire's got them all. When you're on the 90-foot diamond, the base umpire is going to assume a lot more responsibility. The base umpire has that center fielder up, back, and over towards right. He's got the right fielder wherever they go. And the plate umpire has only got the left fielder and the center fielder when he starts converging towards left. Now, if there's runners on base and that base umpire is in B or C, he's got what we refer to as the V position. Okay, so if you drew a V, and this graphic isn't really representative of that, but if you drew a V from the pitcher's plate through the left fielder through the right fielder, that middle area is going to be the responsibility of the base umpire. So he's got the left fielder and the right fielder up, in, and back. The plate umpire in this case has the right fielder and the the right fielder and the left fielder only towards the foul lines. When there's no runners on from an infield perspective, the plate umpire has everything that we see in here. Really, it's just that the base umpire has the direct angles on what he can see. So the first baseman coming towards him, the second base coming towards him, the shortstop kind of coming towards him, and the pitcher going back over his shoulder. The plate umpire has everything else. When there's runners on, it varies a lot. Again, now we're going to get into that V position. So if you were to draw that imaginary V here, you would note that the second baseman and the shortstop are within that V. He's also got the first baseman and third baseman converging towards him. Anything going toward the foul line or coming towards the plate umpire, in case of the pitcher or the first and third baseman, are the responsibility of the plate umpire. When we talk about fair and foul coverage, the plate umpire with no runners on is going to have the entire left field foul line and is going to have the right field foul line up to the front of the bag. We always talk about the front end of the bag and there being a plate of glass there. That means that as soon as that ball crashes through that plate of glass or even bonks into it on a slow roll, it doesn't really matter, it becomes the responsibility of that base umpire. And again, this is only when there's no runners on and the base umpire is in A will they have from the front of the bag all the way down to the pole. With runners on any base, the plate umpire has all fair foul responsibility. When you're making your calls, pause, read, and react. Let the play take you in. Get in the right position. Get the best angle and the optimum distance that you can. But if you can't get both, and a lot of times you're not going to be able to in a two-man operation, always take angle over distance. Let the play take you to where you need to be. Adjust. Don't mark little spots on the ground that says if the ball's hit to the shortstop, I stand here. If the ball's hit to second base, I stand here. That's never going to be the case. As a matter of fact, let's talk about some of the common mistakes here. First of all, getting too close to the play. If you're too close to the play, you can't see all four elements that you need. You need a offensive player, runner. You need a defensive player, fielder. You need a base, and you need a ball. If you can't see all four of those, you're too close. Following the ball into the glove is another common mistake. This is something that if you watch that ball hit the glove, you're probably not able to see everything else that's going on. In this case, a foot on a bag. Don't watch the ball into the glove and focus on the glove. Make sure that you are not too close. Make sure that you're following the ball to the fielder, but you have the entire play within your view. In terms of timing, this is something that new umpires, and a lot of veterans really, struggle with. Slow down. Let that play finish. If you know that you've got a kid that's going to be out by 4 feet, and you're ready, oh, this kid's out, there's no way he's going to make it, and you're getting ready, you got that fist up in the air, the ball comes into the first baseman, he catches it, that kid crosses the bag and the ball pops out accidentally, well, don't be too soon to make the call. Let it all happen. Time that play. Okay? Another mistake, not reading the player's actions, okay, and not adjusting to the play. The player will tell you what's going on. 9 times out of 10, they're going to let you know if they're out or safe. Okay, if that kid is trucking down the line and you got a bang bang play, and that kid kind of turns around as soon as he crosses the bag and takes his helmet off, he's telling you he's out. You don't even have to think about it at that point. Let the player's actions tell you sometimes what's going on if you've got a close call. They generally know. Okay, also, don't adjust, I should say, also make sure that you're adjusting to the play. Again, let the ball take you in. If you've got to throw up the line, you better get another sidestep. Make sure that you've got an angle on a potential swipe tag or something of the sort. Don't just stand there. Let the play dictate what happens with your move. Get set, see it, and call it. Be sure that you're set. Don't be moving on the play. If you're moving, your entire perspective is off. Even if you're only getting a step, get that extra step. Get that step. Take everything that you can, but don't be moving when the play comes in. And see everything that happens. When it's all over and you're sure, call it. Okay? Timing. Don't anticipate the call. You can anticipate the action, but don't anticipate that, oh man, he's going to be out or he's going to be safe. Make sure that everything has happened, and make sure that all playing action is complete before you make that call. And again, pause, then call it. Positioning and timing are the keys to making the right call. Make sure that you're really addressing your timing. I can't stress this enough for you guys. Slow it down. Let it happen. Let it complete. Make your call. So let's talk a little bit now about umpire signals. The whole point of umpire signals is to communicate. I think they've pretty much made their point here. So there's a couple types, primarily 2 in this point, calls and plays, and then signals among umpires. So in other words, what's your mechanic if you've got a safe out, ball strike, whatever? And also, what's your mechanic if you've got a runner on first with 2 outs, who's got what coverage and who's going where? Or if you've got an infield fly situation. So there's calls and plays where you do a signal and a mechanic, and there's mechanics between umpires when there is no particular play going on, just so you understand the situation. Let's talk about some of the steps required. First of all, positioning, stance, seeing the complete play, making a decision, working your proper timing, and then giving a proper, crisp signal and a verbal call. There's a pretty standard set of signals for plays that are in the field, and generally accompanied by a verbal announcement of the call as well. Now, again, if the call warrants a verbal signal, ball, strike, safe, out, things like that, then you owe a verbal announcement. If it's a fair ball, you're not going to verbally announce anything, you're just going to point. So depending upon the situation, understand what requires a verbal signal and what absolutely doesn't mandate and shouldn't be given a verbal signal. So things like ball, pretty straightforward. Ball. Strike call, depending upon the situation. You may want to embellish that on strike 3, but otherwise it's strike. Keep your balls and your strikes called consistently. If you vocalize a ball, vocalize a strike at the same level. Of course, unless it's strike three. So we're just going to run through these quickly. Fair and foul, safes and outs, catches, no catches, time, infield fly, delayed dead ball, foul tip, he was off the base, play or play ball, don't pitch if you've got spectator interference, score the run or conversely do not score the run, if there's a substitution, and how you properly give the count. These are all signals that are based among plays. Now, the umpire communications among ourselves, most are nonverbal. Verbal is generally only used during a play, but there's a standard set of communications and signals that are used. Pre-game, guys, make sure that you're on the same page with your partner. So when he flashes you two fingers and points towards third base, you have an idea what the heck he means by that, and you're ready for that situation. Okay, infield flies, number of outs, what the rotation is, if they're staying at home, if there's a timing play, if it's my call, and what do we do when we get some help on a check swing or on the bases, what's the count, and then of course any kind of verbal communication and acknowledging that verbal communication. Right? Thanks for your time, guys. I appreciate it.